This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto. For the last time then on F1 2021, the Formula 1 circus descends on the Bahrain GP circuit for the final winter testing. Yes, this is Season 7 of our F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, and today we are here back previewing what I'm now dubbing the Last Dance, the biggest and best season I'm hoping we have on F1 2021. Of course, as always, we're going to run through every team with all of their driver lineup changes and everything like that, and immediately, a lot more excitement than we've seen in recent years. Last year's Constructors' Champions, Sergio Perez has opted to stay with Red Bull for yet another season, one of the longest driver-team pairings we've had in this career mode. However, Max Verstappen has gone to a different Formula 1 team for this final run here on F1 2021. That meant Red Bull took up one of F1, well, technically in this hypothetical universe, probably is no longer one of F1's young hotshots, but he certainly is still a driver with a whole lot to prove, and that is George Russell. Yes, the Mercedes Junior spent years, let's be fair, festering at Aston Martin there. Probably should have got the Mercedes call up. You know, he saw the likes of Yuki Tsunoda, Luca Giotto, and then of course Lance Stroll get the call up to the Mercedes team over the last couple of games, but finally he has been given himself a top team there. He's going to be joining Sergio Perez at Red Bull for the final season here of F1 2021. Of course, they wrapped up the Constructors' Championship last year, but didn't quite have the run of form that they needed. You know, a few strategy blunders here and there cost Max Verstappen a really good shot at the Drivers' World Championship, and he was fed up of that. He was pretty vocal last year that he reckons in a 212 Motorsport car he could have wrapped up the championship with races to spare there. So, as Red Bull unfortunately say goodbye to Max Verstappen, we can now confirm he is going to be joining us at 212 Motorsport. Yes, it is going to be myself versus Max Verstappen, the two men that have dominated Formula 1 over the last 3 years. Of course, last season, out of a 16-race calendar, myself and Max Verstappen between us took 13 of the race victories there. No one else really got a look in. And I must admit, Max Verstappen, you know, the Dutchman, he looks pretty good in an orange Formula 1 car here. Of course, the first look at our V7 212 Challenger as well. But yeah, like I said, Max Verstappen very vocal last year about, you know, he reckoned in a 212 Motorsport car he could absolutely dominate over myself. You know, we've proven ourselves against the likes of Pierre Gasly. We've proven ourselves over the likes of Lando Norris and Jenson Button. But Max Verstappen is going to be a whole different challenge on this game, and I'm really looking forward to it as well there. Going to be interesting to see, you know, whether we're going to see tempers rise or whether we're going to work quite well as teammates, but, you know, really there'll be strong evidence to suggest, you know, both of us are going to be gunning for this World Championship. And for me, you know, like I said, Max Verstappen has been very vocal over the last couple of seasons, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to put sort of my pride to one side for a minute, and we're going to have a proper all-out battle, hopefully throughout the entirety of this final championship. You know, we are still the owner of the team, but it's going to be all sort of, everything is going to be on the table for both of us. There's going to be nothing sort of held back from me anyway. We'll have to wait and see. You know, Verstappen is surely not going to be one to sort of leave anything out on the table. So yeah, very excited. Matt Beard versus Max Verstappen. It's going to get spicy. Moving on now down to Mercedes, though, of course, a team that dominated the early seasons of F1 2021, but really have watched 212 Motorsport and Red Bull take the game to a whole new level. Of course, they made a couple of weird signings last year. Of course, Jack Aitken getting a call up in the first half of the campaign, and then Lance Stroll. Don't know how much money Lawrence Stroll was willing to give the Brackley-based organisation. didn't know they needed the money either, to be completely honest with you guys. But yeah, Lance Stroll is sticking then by Yuki Tsunoda for a, well, first sort of full campaign for the two drivers as a pair. They're an interesting lineup. One you wouldn't, yeah, like I said, expect at a top team like Mercedes, but they've made good progress over the winter, so very, very excited to see how they're going to get on in this final campaign. Of course, no major rule changes again as we got ready for Season 7, so there should be an even bigger sense of parity between most of the teams up and down the grid there. But Tsunoda came into Mercedes very, very early on in this career mode, you know, slowly worked his way up, learned a lot of Lewis Hamilton, and then obviously took the reins at the front. But Lance Stroll has come in and often been quicker than Yuki. Neither of them have really sort of got that all-out pace that it takes to win week in, week out there. But we did see flashes from Lance Stroll last year there. Of course, not Canada even, Silverstone was probably one of the best examples of that, where he really pushed Max Verstappen hard late on in the afternoon there until an unfortunate reliability error cost him any chance of points. Never mind the race victory. But yeah, I'm sure Lance Stroll, though, he knows this has got to be a big, big chance at a Formula 1 World Championship. And I'm sure, yeah, Yuki Tsunoda will be thinking exactly the same thing. Moving on, though, over to our next team then. This, of course, is Ferrari. And they've still, since day one, they've had Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc in that team. And probably up until now, I'd argue they still had one of the strongest lineups on the grid. But Max Verstappen and myself, I think we just slightly trump that one as we head into this final season. As always, Ferrari seem to be a team that made good progress late on in the season and then kind of fall backwards at the start of the next campaign. But this year could be a little bit different. Like I said, no rule changes, anything like that. So a whole new level of parity in Formula 1 that we've arguably never seen before. To be honest, I'd argue it's probably closer than the 2022 regs are going to be able to make F1 cars as well there. So whether we see Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc finally sort of get a car that can battle out for a championship all season long. You know, we've often seen them really, really quick over a qualifying run later on in the year, but never quite have the same race pace. A bit like Mercedes, they've kind of just been left behind slightly by Red Bull and 2&2 Motorsport there when it comes to race pace. But you know, you can never count out Maranello once for all there. And yes, Sainz and Leclerc, still, obviously, I'd argue one of the best lineups on the grid. Still a lot of firepower in that team and a lot of strategy. And, you know, they're a team that have worked so long together that I'm sure, yeah, get them in a championship battle and they are going to be able to coordinate and communicate in a way that very other teams will be able to there. You know, they are now, I think, the only lineup we've got left on the grid that has remained unchanged all the way since Season 1. And yeah, very, very excited to see what they can do in this final year. Will Ferrari finally be on top? We'll have to wait and see. Moving on, though, to another team that has often sort of yo-yoed around the F1 grid. Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo staying on at McLaren for yet another season. It seems like, once again, they've made a bit more progress towards the top, but still lacking that little bit, you know, the likes of what the top four big teams have got there. You know, I'm expecting McLaren to still sort of be fighting for points most weeks, but it's, you know, sort of podiums and things like that I think are only ever going to come, you know, a couple of times a year there. Bottas, of course, took a podium last season. I think that was the Italian Grand Prix. Managed to take quite a shot podium there, and that was really, really exciting to see. But I don't think we're going to see that consistently this year. You know, maybe a flash in the pan of excellence from the Finn or the Australian there. You know, they've been a very, very even driver lineup as well throughout the entirety of F1 2021. To be honest, Bottas has just often been a bit of a pain for me in a few races here and there. You know, that McLaren's so fast out of the corners, always has been. Doesn't look like that's going to change based on winter testing numbers. You know, the way that thing, it just is traction OP on the exits of the corners. But yeah, Bottas and Ricciardo, though, again, another lineup that has pretty much been around since, what, Season 2? I want to say, of this career mode. I think that one is certainly still one to watch out for. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see McLaren back on top. Haven't seen them on top on F1 2021 pretty much ever, I think, in this career mode. We've seen them a couple of times here and there in some one-off videos. But yeah, we want to see McLaren right back at the front. And maybe, just maybe, Season 7 against all the odds in this Last Dance career mode. Mercedes, you know, Mercedes power in the back of that McLaren. It's going to get interesting. Moving on, though, on to our next team then. Of course, that is AlphaTauri, another team that's shown so much promise time and time again, but you can't help but just feel sort of get shackled back by Red Bull, even, I should say. Their driver lineup of Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou is here to stay once again. To be honest, I was quite surprised Red Bull didn't call up Lando Norris after Max Verstappen took a step away from the organisation there. I really thought, Lando Norris would be the perfect fit to take that place at the top. That being said, I'm not complaining that George Russell has finally been given the gig with a proper top team there. Aston Martin have never been a particularly strong organisation in this career mode. So, yeah, nice to see George Russell even getting that shot. But that being said, Lando Norris has done some explosive things in this AlphaTauri as well. He's often been rapid, battled it out for pole position, battled it out for race victories on a couple of occasions last season as well. When he's vibing with that car, he is a formidable force to watch out for. And maybe, just maybe, we could see at the halfway stage of this year, Red Bull, maybe they swap those two drivers over. You never quite know. Maybe Checo calls it quits halfway through a campaign. You never know what will happen on F1 2021, but boy, am I excited to see what happens nonetheless there. Guan Yu Zhou, of course, came into Formula 1, a bit of a development driver for Red Bull, has never really shown a whole lot of promise, to be honest, in this career mode. Kind of how I expected him to do in real-life Formula 1, but that being said, he's done pretty well early on in 2022. Guan Yu Zhou, yeah, never really has been able to match up against his teammates. They have been phenomenal, though. So we can't really blame the young Chinese driver too much, but I think Helmut Marko will be knocking on the door rather soon. That then brings us down to Aston Martin. Of course, losing George Russell and, of course, Lance Stroll last year. A big shake-up coming on down at their team. They, though, have gone with Mick Schumacher as a new driver ready for Season 7 there. So that's nice to see, Mick Schumacher finally getting a seat away from Haas there as well. He's kind of been trapped in that organisation for so long. Even Mazepin managed to make it out of Haas there, and Mick Schumacher still seemed to stick by them over the last couple of campaigns. Of course, we saw a lot of driver transfers midway through last year, so he is still joined by Esteban Ocon down at Aston Martin. Again, another weird little lineup that you'd only ever see, I think, on F1 2021. That being said, though, seems to work. Aston Martin, though, again, doesn't really feel like we're going to see much forward progress from them. I think it'll be points on the odd occasion, but I'm intrigued to see how Mick Schumacher is going to get on in a car that isn't 2 seconds off the pace of anything else in this final season nonetheless. So yeah, very excited for Mick, and we'll have to wait and see, whether Esteban Ocon, he's probably coming towards the end of his F1 career as well now. How much is he going to be able to teach Mick about the car, about the team, everything like that? How is Mick going to get on with Mercedes power as well? Maybe Merc are going to be trying to line him up in some hypothetical universe after the end of F1 2021 as well. We'll have to wait and see about that one. But yeah, Mick Schumacher, though, in an Aston Martin. Nice to see him out of the Haas back marker, but I don't think we're going to see him stepping up too much either. As you're probably guessing by the theme so far, though, doesn't seem like we've seen too many sort of major shifts in terms of raw car pace there. Another team that did quite well last year to try and get a few points on the board, though, was Alfa Romeo. Now, of course, they took on Jack Aitken after he left, or got dropped even, I should say, by Mercedes. They seem to be very good at picking up Formula 2 drivers that have then got to Formula 1, not done very well, and then kind of ended up back at the Alfa Romeo team there. So he's joined by still Christian Lundgaard, who's been there since Season 2. I'm amazed Christian Lundgaard has hung around so much in Formula 1. Of course, the only real memory I have of him in recent years was blocking me right at the end of the British Grand Prix a couple of seasons ago. Apart from that, he hasn't really done much of any note at all in this entire career mode. In fact, I don't even know if he's ever scored a point in this series either. But yeah, Jack Aitken and Christian Lundgaard still in Alfa Romeo there. Not a team that seems to have made a particularly big step up. To be honest, it actually looks like performance-wise they've dropped back down to only ahead of Haas once more in this championship. So not expecting many points from them. But again, the Formula 1 grid is so close at the moment that maybe, just maybe, they get a weekend where the track really suits their car. Perhaps they've gone with a really low aero setup. Perhaps they just want points at Monza. You never quite know. Alfa Romeo, home race, something like that exciting. Could be rather interesting as well there. But yeah, Jack Aitken, Christian Lundgaard, a bit of an uninspiring lineup. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it at all there. But that being said, sometimes they get the job done, and clearly Fred Vasseur is happy with them still. Otherwise, I'm sure he could have dropped one of them. Perhaps they're just giving them a lot of money. You never quite know what's going on behind the scenes on some F1 2021 teams, but that's what keeps it interesting, I think, at the end of the day there. Another team that I've often wanted to try and get behind in this series but have never really been able to, of course, is Williams. Nicholas Latifi still there at the team there. Of course, he's been there right the way since Season 1. he is currently still joined, if I'm not mistaken, by Callum Ilott. So, yeah, it's a lineup. Callum Ilott, of course, burst onto the F1 scene back, I want to say, in Season 3. And then kind of really, went away again after that. You know, he got called up by Williams after really, I mean, he came into Formula 1, was immediately stronger than Ricciardo, and then McLaren dropped him for whatever reason to try and get Valtteri Bottas in the team. So Christian Lundgaard went the other way. Of course, they swapped halfway through Season 3. So yeah, Lundgaard is, Callum Ilott even has, just been stuck down at that team for so long now. You know, I want to see Williams fighting towards the front. We often see them make big progress early on in the campaign and then kind of slip backwards again. It's like they don't know you can develop a car during the season. But that hasn't seemed to happen this year. They seem to have made a little bit of a step forward, but they're still, going to be battling out with Aston Martin and Alpine now. I think a little way ahead of Alfa Romeo and Haas, but we might get to the end of the year and they finish behind them based on count back alone. You never really know for sure here on F1 2021. But Williams still a team I want to be confident with, but certainly not one that's showing much promise there. And yeah, Nicholas Latifi still with a Formula 1 seat. Callum Ilott, he desperately needs to get out of there, but time is well and truly ticking on this career mode. Moving on, though, to team number 10, one of the most disappointing organisations we've seen on this career mode. That is, of course, Alpine. Nikita Mazepin still with the organisation. Of course, he is joined by Antonio Giovinazzi. It's just awful. Why? Why on earth would Alpine have done this? Mazepin came to the team. They just immediately went backwards. They've got their own power unit. They should be at least sort of a top midfielder, but not scoring a single point last year was, really not good for Alpine there. They desperately need a bit of a return to form, but I think we're going to have to wait till F1 2022, to be honest with you guys, because it doesn't look like they've made much progress at all. They seem to have jumped Alfa Romeo, but they're still not even in line with Williams at the moment. Still one of the best looking cars on the grid, though, but yeah, not convinced we're going to see much from Alpine this year. Perhaps 2 seasons of nil points is going to occur. But that being said, maybe they could swing a surprise. Always had a car that's very, very good top-end speed. So we've often seen them at tracks like Monza again. They can hang on a little bit closer to a few other cars around. But yeah, Mazepin and Giovinazzi, probably either them or Alfa Romeo have the worst lineup on the F1 2022 grid. So yeah, if you're an Alpine fan, not convinced Season 7 is going to be the year where you can really get behind them in this series. I think it is just going to be another year of pure pain for Alpine on F1 2021. Pretty much like every season has been in this career mode, to be honest. No real highs for Alpine in this series, but one more chance to spring a surprise. Our final team then, as pretty much has been throughout the entirety of F1 2021, of course, is unfortunately Haas. Yep. Pretty much last every year. They beat Alfa Romeo once. They've scored points once, I think, in this entire career mode. And their lineup still is Robert Schwartzman from a couple of seasons back, obviously after Nikita Mazepin left the team. But he is joined by Luca Giotto. An interesting move on F1 2021. So we are finally sort of seeing a few more of the rookies and the F2 juniors coming into the career mode as well. There, we have now got the likes of Callum Ilott. We've got Guan Yu Zhou. Now, of course, we've got Lundgaard, Luca Giotto, and Schwartzman as well. So we are slowly seeing a few more of them shift into Formula 1 as well there. But still, yeah, not quite as promising as we would have wanted there. Haas, they were a long way off everyone last year. In fact, on some occasions, dangerously far off the rest of the field. Looks like they made a bit of progress over the winter, but I think they're just running quite a flawed philosophy, to be honest, at this stage of the game. So I would not hold my breath for Haas. Certainly going to be able to, score a podium or anything like that in this final season of F1 2021. I think we're just going to see him at the backfield, probably, sort of back row, keeping the seats warm, everything like that. But it's a shame. Maybe Luca Giotto is apparently going to be some generational talent out of nowhere. I'm certainly not holding my breath for that one. But Haas, I hope when F1 2022 comes out, that, they're going to properly be well represented in that game as well, because I love to see them fighting back up towards the midfield. And, scoring points again has been a great feeling in 2022. Of course, though, that is not the only major change, though, for the final season of F1 2021. I've decided we're going big. Yes, a full 23 race calendar for the final campaign there. We start here in Sakhir, we then head over to Shanghai, Imola, Portimao, and then Spain. Then we head over to the classic streets of Monaco, and then Baku, Canada, France, Austria, Silverstone, and then Hungary before we get the summer break. And then we head back over to Belgium, the Netherlands, and Italy, Singapore, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and then of course we will finish the season in Abu Dhabi. And you guys might be wondering, why are there 5 tracks with a gold hue? Yes, after the success of the 100% race I did last year in Imola, we are going to be doing 5 100% races over the course of the campaign. I sort of mixed it up, the first race and the final race of F1 2021, I kind of wanted to be 100% races. Monaco, of course, is an absolute gem. Silverstone, I'd argue, still is the home of Motorsport, and then Monza as well, the Temple of Speed. So much history around those 3 circuits, so I thought, we'll sprinkle those in halfway through the year with some 100% races as well there. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below how hyped you guys are. I sort of saw a lot of you guys saying George Russell and Mick Schumacher you wanted to see getting better seats, so I was genuinely super happy when I saw they'd both been able to move up. So excited to see what George Russell is going to be able to do in that Red Bull. So excited to see how hard Max Verstappen is going to push us as well. A 23 race campaign to finish off F1 2021. You guys, I hope, are going to love it. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.